What's going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Tonight is Monday. It is July 14th. We had one day of SEC Media Days, but the headliner, of course, is Alabama football, former great. I still think he'd be the best if he came back right now, Coach Saban. So as I start out the show, just tell me, just tell me why I build it up. Do you think that Coach Saban comes back to coach? And I'll even keep it this open, college or NFL. So if you think that he'll come back, type Y for yes, and if you don't, type N for no. All right. You know, this is going to be the thing all week. So now reporters are going to ask the next coaches coming up Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Hey, it's been said that Coach Saban is coming back, right? Is he going to come back? And every single coach is going to have to discuss the biggest question, which, is Coach Saban coming back? How it started was this morning, and I'm sure you saw it. Everybody's saying no inside the comment box. And look, I'm going to look at each side of the coin, but if you only have 1 minute to be here, I'm going to say zero chance, okay? Zero. But we're going to talk about it. And I want to look at each side of the coin, all right? Jarvis with the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Kicking it with Kyle Monday style, of course. And Miss Kimberly, she continues to be a fan funder, which we sincerely appreciate. So thank you so much. If it wasn't for you guys, I'd be doing something else. So Greg McElroy said that he heard from someone that Coach Saban still wants to coach. And, listening to Damian Harris today, I'm sure you guys saw it, by the way. Damian Harris is so good. He's so articulate. He's so polished. And he was talking to, I think AL.com has it. And he's like, look, Damian Harris says that he always thought that Coach Saban would have to literally be carried off the field for him to stop coaching. But he's like, Coach Saban is still so sharp, still kind of the man, So that's why even Damian Harris thinks, he's like, look, never say never. And everybody that knows Coach Saban keeps pointing to Miss Terry. Like Miss Terry is the one that makes the final call. Look, Miss Terry's Miss Terry. But Coach Saban, he's got that dog mentality, and he hasn't lost his competitive edge. So kind of to open up the show, I'm going to look at each side of the coin. I know you guys wanted to discuss it. I did too. It was something that I thought about and, I talked about all day long. So here's what we're doing. All right, so we have our morning raffle going on, which is a hat from Athlete's Thread. This hat is for our PM raffle crew, all right? $5 to get in. It's the old school Alabama logo. All right, so this is for our PM show followers. It's $5 to get in, up to 3 opportunities. It's from Team Fanatics. All right, so you got the Alabama old school A, which I like. We already got Jarvis in. So Jarvis, you're the first one. You didn't even know that you were going to get into the raffle. Well, there you go. Super chats will get you in as well. And then Venmo, Bama_YouTube, Cash App, Bama YouTube. So this is for our PM crew. And then we'll spin the pinwheel tomorrow for our Hide the Tide hat, which is more of a flat bill look. Either hat I like. So that's what we're doing today. So if you want to get in, pop on in. And I'm with you 100%. I don't think that he comes in, but let's look at it from each side of the coin, just because it is interesting. I mean, the people that I talked to on the phone today, that was the thing that I talked about. I was like, do you think that Coach Saban's going to come back? Why would he come back? And then I started thinking about it. I was like, why would he come back? So I was like, let's think of 5 reasons just to throw it out there. Okay. By the way, I'm saying no. Let's just think about it. Okay. And let's answer these questions honestly, right? I don't know if anybody's got to meet Coach Saban, but Coach Saban was like a father, a grandfather for a lot of us. I spent a lot of time watching Coach Saban at the podium, and I feel like I know him. I feel like I'm related to him, right? That's why when he retired, it hit so hard. A lot of people, I was talking about how people had to go to therapy for the nasty work that he did on them, but man, We had to go to therapy too when he left. We did therapy on this show for 6 months. It was the longest funeral that we've ever gone through with somebody who's still here. All right, so these are the reasons that I came up with. You guys could throw some inside the comment box. I'd be curious to hear what you think. Let's go over the first one. If Coach Saban was to somehow come back, let me ask you this, straight up. Does he still have a competitive fire in him? Yes or no? Look, we see what we see on TV. But do you think that he's lost a competitive edge? I don't think he has. I think he's still, like, once you're a competitor, you're always a competitor for life. Like, you're never going to go, that's never going to leave you. Like, I'm a competitor. I still like to compete. I still like to win. We play cornhole. Me and you are hanging out. Like, if me and Antoine, you invite me to a barbecue, okay? Or Dan, you're like, yo, Kyle, let's hang out. And Dan asked me to play darts. All right, you want to shoot some darts? I'm playing to beat you, 1,000,000%. And Antoine, if you're like, yo, let's hang out, come over, cornhole, bro, I'm beating you, bro. Like, so I'm a competitor, and I really hope that you're bringing it. So I think that the fire still burns in him. Okay, so that would be one reason. I think that's kind of obvious. And maybe point 2 would make a little bit more sense. Kind of some NIL and some portal chaos reform. Like, right now, it seems like we're getting a little bit closer to some reform, right? The house settlement. You can have exact amount what you can pay players. There's still pay to play, but I think if there's some major reform around the sport, maybe he's like, this makes more sense than the Wild Wild West. And you're going to hate what I'm about to say, okay? I even hate that I thought it. I'm serious. I hate that I even came up with this. Show 44 wants to play some beer pong. Yo, you don't need a celebrity shot with me, man. I'm going for it, man. I'm going to put you at the pyramid real quick. Okay. Let's just say I'm going to tell you who I think Coach Saban will come back to coach for. And you guys are going to hate it. I even hate that I thought it. Okay? Jarvis wants that hat. All right? I get it, Jarvis. That hat's good. So maybe if there's some reform, which, I mean, he's even fighting for it right now. Makes sense, right? An irresistible job offer comes up, okay? And this is the part that you're going to hate. Let me ask you, what would be like, this is terrible, but what would be an irresistible job that came up for Coach Saban? I know one, and I don't even like to say it. This is like going to be blasphemy, all right? I don't think he'd come back in a Army 3275. I really don't think that he'd come back in some sort of coordinator position. I think he'd come back to be the main guy, right? I think the only place that he would maybe in college, the only place, I know so a lot of people were saying LSU. I don't think it would be LSU, okay? I don't think that he'd go to another SEC program. Do you want to hear where I think that he would go? Out of the SEC. Kyle St. Auburn. That would be nasty work. Okay, this is it. Ohio State. I think, if something happened to where Ryan Day was let go, it would be Ohio State. See, Josh is like, don't say it. He knew it. Ohio State, exactly. I think Ohio State would be the only place. He said recently that he has a little bit. Did you guys see this interview recently? He said he had a little bit of Buckeye in him. Did you see that? Let me look it up real quick. Where was that at? Saban, a little bit of Ohio State in him. He just said this recently. Yeah, he said it back on the 29th. I used to coach at Ohio State, so I got a little Buckeye in me. Nick Saban, on a recent podcast. And the only way that would even make believe happen is because Ohio State, you wouldn't be in the SEC. They have all their ducks in a row. They have so much money. I think they have the biggest endowment in the nation. I have a buddy from Ohio State. He was just saying something like that. So that's the only place. And I don't know. Could you fault him for that? Hey, Fred, what's up, bro? Got you in the raffle as well, in the evening raffle. I said, I don't think that would happen. What would be an irresistible job in the NFL? You really think that he'd go back to the NFL? I don't. And look, Lane Kiffin today said this. He misses mentorship. That's the only reason. Like, because Coach Saban has all the money. He's close to being a billionaire. Remember the Forbes article that came out and said that he was close to being a billionaire? I don't think he's going to the NFL, period. But just like when you have that competitive edge, you also, once you're a mentor and you start working with people and people at that level, when they give back, that's how you find happiness. I'll give you the short answer to life, okay? Anybody, I'm going to stop the music for a second. And I know you guys haven't read this book. I really pray that you guys have read this book. Has anybody read The Book of Joy? It's with Desmond Tutu, who's now passed, and the Dalai Lama. They spend a week together celebrating life. The secret to life is giving back. Coach Saban, the way that he gives back is through mentorship, through young men. And I mean, look, to him, somebody in their 40s is young. I mean, he's 30 years older than them. So, he likes to give back in that aspect. He likes to be a mentor. And that's even what Lane Kiffin said today. He's like, he loves being a mentor so much, he misses that. And I think, look, there's a TV lifestyle, but when you're in TV, you're not mentoring people. Okay? Hey, and if you guys see inside the comment box, this is a new feature. I've been waiting for this channel to get it. Do you see how it says Jarvis is the #1 fan right now? So there's a top fan award, all right? So I'm going to do something for our top fans. I'm going to figure it out. So right now, Jarvis is a top fan, and I think it's like based on like if you give a super chat or if you talk a lot inside the chat, and there's some sort of ranking. So right now I got Jarvis at the #1 spot. Then I got Veteran 08. And I think those are, and then I got Army 3275. So those are our top leaders. All right. Coaching, like I said, the mentorship, the coaching, it's in his identity. That's who he is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Coach Saban is a football coach. Obviously, he's a grandfather, he's a father, right? I mean, but that's who he is. He's a coach. And just my last point, you know what I'm saying, is kind of that desire to mentor again. All right. So I don't think so. Those are just those are some reasons. Probably the last one and the last two make a little bit more sense. Actually, they kind of all do. But this is kind of no way. Chevy, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. He will be 74 this October. Okay. I think the last year before he retired, because Saban's not going to do anything half-ass. He's not. Saban is going to go all in, just as you should with every single thing in your life. Nobody should have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You just can't live life that way. You either got to go all in or not, right? And I felt the last year that Saban coached here, it was doing work on his health. I don't know that from anybody. Those are just things that I saw. It looks like it was completely taxing on him. He looks better than he's ever looked right now, right? He's in the golden years of his life. I feel like, 74, right? We don't want anything to happen to Coach Saban. We want Coach Saban to live a long, happy life. We don't want Coach Saban to be stressed out, in the however long Coach Saban has. That's not right. He's got time with Miss Terry. And Miss Terry and him have a beautiful life. And what she did for him and what they did for Tuscaloosa and what they still do for Tuscaloosa is amazing. right? Stress-free. He has a house in Jupiter. He has a house in Georgia. He's got a house over here in Tuscaloosa. I mean, come on. He's financially set for life. The Forbes article said he's close to being a billionaire. And finally, his legacy is already cemented. He's got a statue out here, man. They still need to make a statue for Miss Terry, by the way. All right? They still need to make a statue for Miss Terry. 100%. So I'm going to say no way. Final answer. That's just what I'm going with. Want to hear from you inside the comment box. Now that I've made a couple points, but I don't see it happening. I really don't. I think that he's good where he's at. We want something to get excited about, right? We want something to get, pumped up about. But I don't know. All right. Here's what we're looking like for the pinwheel, okay? So this is for a hat. So we got a small crew in, so your chances are really good right now. Jarvis, Fred Turner. So here we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll even spin it tonight. I don't know. I'll keep you posted. But yeah, I think kind of, when you look at the return of Saban, I don't think it's realistic. Someone that knows Coach Saban better than anybody is this man, Chris Lowe. Remember, Chris Lowe has like the hotline to Coach Saban. He's the one who broke the news that Coach Saban was retiring. I'm so thankful that I was at my house at that point in time. And he says, I just don't see it. I think Miss Terry makes that decision. I mean, Chris Lowe, he's friends with Coach Saban. Like he's the guy with like the information. All right. The next portion of this program is powered by our friends at Sonic, America's favorite drive-in, West Memphis, Arkansas, Marion, Arkansas, where I-55 and I-40 hit. All right. Chad, I got you in, brother. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, he's done, several articles today or several interviews today, and he was saying the same thing. He said, I think Coach Saban will come back coaching, whether that's the NFL or college football. Like I said, I don't see him going to the NFL. What NFL team do you think that he would go to? Why would he go to the NFL? Hey, Anita, what's up? Appreciate the super. It is fun to think about. It is fun to, wish upon a star. But the reality is, I think that Coach Saban is good where he's at. I love him as an analyst. He does have that competitive spirit, I think, still in him 100%. But I think the final answer is that Saban won't come back. Just as Damian Harris said, though, never say never. Let me phrase it before I move on. Would you like to see it? Would you like to see Coach Saban come back? That's a tough question, because would you like to see him come back and coach for somebody else? I don't know if I could deal with that. And you know what I'm saying? Coach Kalen DeBoer is going to be here for a long time. He's not coming back to Alabama. Would you like to see him in the NFL? I don't know. So today at SEC Media Day, you had 4 programs get to the podium as we started kind of the kickoff to the college football season. And if you've been watching, SEC Media Day, Alabama hits the podium on Wednesday, right? They're bringing their 3 along with Coach Kalen DeBoer to discuss Alabama football. And you know what? I mean, look, Coach Kalen DeBoer, can you imagine him on Wednesday? The first question he's going to get asked, man, bless Coach Kalen DeBoer and the patience that he has as a person, man. because now this whole SEC Media Days will be about Coach Saban. All the questions, I guarantee you, all the questions on Wednesday to Alabama, there'll be these questions. Quarterback, who's going to be the quarterback? But before that, now that's option, that's a sidebar. The number one question now to all the Alabama football players that are coming, right, 3 of them, and Coach Kalen DeBoer, will be about Coach Saban, which I don't think is necessarily fair, but that's the way it is. Hey, Coach Kalen DeBoer, great year in last year, when you're, laying the tracks. What do you think about Coach Saban coming back to coach? What are your thoughts on that? That's really not fair, but that'll be, those will be the questions. Brian Kelly today up at the podium. He has a loaded team. LSU, from everything I read today and the players that they have, this should be a top dog team. They've done a lot of work in the transfer portal. They have a quarterback coming back that threw for 4,000 yards in Garrett Nussmeier. Of course, he didn't do anything against Alabama last year, but he is a good quarterback. They have very good wide receivers, a really good running back, and an elite defense. And I think Brian Kelly knows that this year he has the team. They got to stay healthy, whatever. But I think he understands that they have what it takes to put together a really good team. Of course, they take on Clemson in week 1. That should be one hell of a game. I know a lot of people are talking about Clemson making a run for the national championship. I am not buying that at all. Like, at all. I don't care who says that about Clemson. I am not buying that. I do not buy anything from ACC. I don't. That is just, I'm not doing that. Now, they could very well beat Clemson, or Clemson could very well beat LSU in the first game of the season, because LSU, they start off slow. But I'm not saying that Clemson's going to win a national championship. No, I don't think they have the horses to put together 17 games. Period. All right. I know I said that earlier, and people were like, "Oh, well, Clemson. Well, someone said this about Clemson, and Clemson's no. Clemson. Come on, dog. Come on. No. I think they'll be good, but they're not going to be national title good. Same thing with Penn State. Because Rex, what's up, dog? Because they play in the ACC. ACC is terrible. All right, period. But they'll probably beat LSU in the first game. Brian Kelly today, he came with it, and he was talking about Alabama. He said Alabama has been the most physical team I've gone against as a head football coach. That physicality, that edge is part of the DNA of Alabama football, whether it's Nick Saban or Coach Kalen DeBoer on the sidelines. 100%. And I think that has to, be what it is from the jump. I think Alabama literally has to put Florida State in the dirt and establish that physicality to when they step off the bus, they win games, because that's how it was for a long time under Coach Saban, right? They kind of just have that edge. And that starts with the defensive side of the ball. You got to be able to come out and, really dominate from the get-go. And I think the offense can do that. But I don't know, I'm hopeful. I do like the fact that the game is at Bama. But last year when Bama went to Baton Rouge, I was kind of worried about that game. Alabama did whatever they could do against LSU. Anything. Jalen ran for 4 touchdowns. We knew that was going to happen. He did that. But it's good that he understands that the, the physicality of Alabama, that's how he sees him, because that's the game where they're playing on the road. Of course, he couldn't throw no rat poison because the game, is in Tuscaloosa. Shane Beamer today, he said, I didn't come here to be 7-5 every year. I came to South Carolina to compete for championships. Everybody's trying to compete for championships. And the reality of it is kind of exhausting to see. But, he said that, and then so did Diego Pavia. Man, I was talking about self-awareness not too long ago. I think South Carolina is going to be a fine team. That game in Columbia scares the daylights out of me. I think Alabama going up there, it's going to be tough down to the last second, 100%. But in terms of South Carolina putting together things to win a national championship, I don't know how realistic that is. but this team is going to be good. And a lot of depends on, the play of Lenore Sellers, who's an absolute baller, right? And then Diego Pavia, did you see he came in a tuxedo today? This is from today. He came to SEC Media Days in a tux. I don't know why he came in a tux. Oh, man. But he did say this about Bama. This was interesting. He's like, I came back to win a national championship. So did everybody. I think it was Alabama, right? When they had Mac Jones and the Heisman winner Devontae Smith. They just took off with games. That was 2020. So we want to put that pedal to the metal. Man, even Alabama is like the standard for other programs. You see what I'm saying? So that's his soundbite today. And that's coming from Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt's quarterback. I asked you earlier today, I'm curious to see what the night crew said. Out of the quarterbacks, I'll come back to these graphics in a second because I have something that I want to ask you about LSU. But who do you think will be the top quarterback of the guys that spoke today? Garrett Nussmeier. I'm asking the evening crew. I asked this earlier today, in the beginning of the day. Lenore Sellers, Austin Simmons, or Diego Pavia. Who will have the best? Who's the best quarterback here? I think the morning crew had Garrett Nussmeier and Sellers. I'm going to go with Sellers. And then I'm going to go with Nussmeier. Then I'm going to go with Pavia. But you can't sleep on Austin Simmons. I think Austin Simmons is going to be a really fine quarterback. I think he's going to do a great job. Ole Miss, nobody talks about Ole Miss, but I think, they'll be really good. Here's that schedule for LSU in case you missed it. Starting off on the road against Clemson, right? Louisiana Tech, Florida, Southeastern Louisiana, taking out Ole Miss. I think this is a tough schedule, to be honest. At Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, at Bama, or that game against A&M is at home. Arkansas, and then the back end of the season is against Oklahoma. Hey, Steven, Austin Simmons is the quarterback for Ole Miss, in case you missed it. He's a new quarterback this coming year. But I was just, Chad, I'm talking about just the quarterbacks just that were on the board. But I think that's a tough schedule. I was looking at the other schedules, too. We looked at these earlier today. Here's South Carolina's. It's another good schedule right here. Virginia Tech, that's a neutral site game in the beginning. South Carolina State, Vanderbilt, at Missouri, Kentucky, at LSU, Oklahoma, Bama, at Ole Miss, at A&M. Man, and then Clemson on the back end of the schedule. This is a tough schedule too. Chris from New Jersey, what's up, bro? Good to see you, man. That's a hard schedule. I don't know how many games they win or they lose, but that's a tough schedule. Someone has South Carolina going 6-6. I mean, maybe. Let's see. Virginia Tech, they win. South Carolina, they win. Vanderbilt, they win. Missouri, they win. Kentucky, they win. Okay, so I have them at that point 5-0, right? At LSU, who knows? Let's just say they lose. 5-1. They beat Oklahoma. 6-1. Lose to Bama. 6-2. Ole Miss, that would be a shootout. They could lose that game. They could lose to A&M. They could lose to Clemson. I don't know. Show 44. That probably looks realistic. 8-4. I don't know. 8-4. That's what the fam has them. Do we have Ole Miss's schedule in here? Maybe I forgot to put it. What about let's do LSU's. What do you guys think LSU's will be? Ethan, you go enjoy those stuffed taco pasta shells. That's what's up, man. Okay, they're gonna be let's say they lose to Clemson. All right, they beat Louisiana Tech, they beat Florida, so 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. We'll give them Ole Miss. South Carolina, I guess either way, but let's say they win that one 5, 6, 7, lose to Bama 7-2, 8-2, 9-2, 10-2, 10-2. Is it 10-2, 9-3? Jarvis has them 9-3, 10-2. Yeah. Yeah. I'll show you this one more time on the back end. I was actually looking at this. This was an interesting graphic that I had. I cooked up this earlier today. It's Alabama's offensive line. I don't think Max is on right now. He's on. He like leads our morning show. Max, are you here? But someone said that Caden Proctor was 380 pounds. I think it was Max. I don't think he's 380 pounds. But what stands out about this offensive line graphic right here? And as I said in the morning show, Brailsford's hair is not cubed like this. It's a natural fro. It's not a Minecraft haircut. I don't know why my computer editing software did that to him. That's what I thought, Matt. Yeah, so I have him at 365 or 366. Do we like this offensive line? Are we comfortable with it? Because the morning crew, we were talking, we feel pretty good about it. I said 7 out of 10. We got 3 guys in here that we know a lot about. And that's Caden Proctor, Brailsford, Roberts. We don't really know too much about Dewberry and Formby. You know, we know a little bit, but we know he has to improve. I think Ty Simpson, he's like 6'2"? Yeah, I think Ty is like 6'1", 6'2". Dan Caraway chimes in and says 6'7", 369 for Caden Proctor. I mean, whether he's, 6'7", 366, 365, he's a massive human that moves around a ton. All right, this is the evening show raffle. I think we're going to spin the pinwheel here in a second. Let me see if we got, let's see what we got up in here. If you want to get in last minute, Bama_YouTube on Venmo, Cash App, Bama YouTube. Let me see how we're looking. And I'm thinking about streaming tonight. I got my next game against Tennessee. So if I do that, it'll probably be like 7:30. You'll probably see me streaming again. All right, this is the pinwheel. Let me make sure this is. So if you guys see me streaming one more time, that's what we're doing. So, all right, Ethan, I got you in, bro. Just give me 1 second. So look for that stream to drop, I guess, here in a few minutes. Hey, Antoine, Fan Funder, bro. That's what's up, man. Thank you so much for continuing to support the product. All right, you guys ready? Let's do it. Alabama's at the podium on Wednesday. All right, let's do this. Pause. Play. Pause. Oh, Anna just jumped in. All right, we'll get you in. We'll get you in, Anna. 1 second. All right, last call. Last call, fam. I like this hat. And we'll come back and I'll spin the pinwheel. Just give me 1 second. As you know, I do everything on the fly, so thank you for giving me grace. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. We got the pinwheel tonight for a nice Alabama hat, the old school A. I appreciate you guys rocking, joining with me every single day. Let's see what we got tonight. The pinwheel for a hat. And this is for our evening crew. We got our flat bill hat for our AM crew that we'll spin tomorrow, all right? And we'll do a big ticket item. I'm talking like big ticket item on Wednesday, all right? So here we go. Without further ado, let's spin the wheel. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Who we got? All right, Fred Turner. Fred Turner. Hit me up, dude. Nice win, Fred Turner. Fred Turner, email me, nmpreps@gmail.com. At gmail.com, man. I appreciate it. Hit me up. Good win, brother. I appreciate it. No, we got Anna in. Yeah, Anna's in there. I got you. Congrats, Fred. Hit me up, bro. Nice win. Nice dub. I'll be streaming like at 7:30 or something like that tonight. I'll be playing Tennessee. So if you guys want to hang out with me, come kick it with Kyle. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining me tonight right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Let me know inside the comment box if you're watching on the rewatch, if you think that Coach Saban's going to coach again. Somebody just text me saying that they think he's going to be. So I don't know. I don't think so. Coach Saban's done. He's living the best life. Coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.